We're keeping our eyes in D.C. this hour as well, with the Senate Finance Committee set to vote on Janet Yellen's nomination for Treasury Secretary. Ilan Moy has the latest. Ilan.
Well, Morgan, we are likely to hear from senators. They're going to give a few brief remarks before the actual vote begins, but we are expecting her nomination to clear the committee without any problems. Now, there are 26 senators who sit on the Senate Finance Committee, and technically Republicans do hold the majority still, but there is widespread agreement from both sides of the aisle that she is more than qualified for this position. The first Fed chair to serve as Treasury Secretary, the first woman to serve as Treasury Secretary. The main points of contention that Republicans had brought up during her confirmation hearing were whether she might support raising taxes on individuals or businesses while the pandemic is still going on, the overall cost of President Biden's $1.9 trillion COVID relief package, and her support for raising the minimum wage to $15 an hour. But it is unlikely that those policy disagreements would derail her overall nomination. So once her nomination does clear committee, we are expecting, and there's at least the potential for her to get a final vote on the Senate floor sometime later today. But guys, we will let you know if and when we get some firm timing on that. Back to you.
Ilan, thank you for that. Our Ilan Moy. Let's check in with our Steve Leisman this morning. We can talk about Yellen's confirmation, Steve, the data today, or the things she hit, not just in her testimony, but in her follow-up letter. It was the greatest hits as far as our audience is concerned.
Yeah, I mean, I think when it comes to a Yellen Treasury Secretaryship, is that the right word? I don't know. I think she'll be something of a leavening force when it comes to some of the more left-leaning parts of the Democratic Party. But she's going to be squarely on the side of where Biden wants to take things. And I think eventually they do indeed want to boost taxes, or at least eliminate some of the Trump tax cuts for those earning $400,000 or more. But the sense I get is that's not something that's going to happen right now. I think that right now, Carl, the administration is focused squarely on what they can do to bring the pandemic under control and provide what relief they can to the economy. You saw that this morning in some of the executive orders, and then you'll see it in the push for this $1.9 trillion of relief and stimulus that Biden wants to do.
But, Steve, let's not forget we had $900 billion in aid that was just earmarked a few weeks ago. I don't know what a realistic assumption is. And Jim Cramer talks often about how much of that money is actually going to end up in the stock market or in sports betting. It's hard to know exactly, isn't it, what the number will be, how much is truly needed, and how much is not going to actually be spent in the way that perhaps had been anticipated.
A lot of that is true, David, but we do have a pretty good idea of the marginal propensity to consume on this money. It's about half, and especially when you send checks to people who are already working and have not lost their job, that number goes down, and it goes up when you send it to people who don't. I think there are some legitimate questions about the size of this bill and some of the intentions in it. I think the idea of aid to state and local governments makes sense. Additional aid to the unemployed makes sense. But whether or not this idea of the flat check going out, that's someplace I think where there are legitimate arguments on both sides.
Shepard Smith here. Thanks for watching CNBC on YouTube.